What's going on, guys? Welcome in. Happy draft day. It's Thursday, April the 24th. We are less than an hour away from the 2025 NFL draft. Yes, it's finally here. The speculation is ending soon. Mock drafts, those are all over with. Anyone that's submitted their mock draft, submitted their last one either last night or this morning. And there's a lot of rumors, speculation. All of that will come to an end very, very soon. Listen, I love the NFL draft. A lot of people do. And I know we all love mock drafts and all these things. But there comes a point in time where it's like, okay, it's becoming too damn much. Like once you get to mid-April, it's like, all right, this is starting to get a little exhausting here. Let's just get the damn thing underway. And that is exactly what's happening tonight. Chiefs picking number 31 in the draft here. I'm excited. I really am. It's obviously a little nerve-wracking picking late the way the Chiefs basically do every year, 32, 31, 30, 29, somewhere around there. That's how things work nowadays in the Patrick Mahomes era of Chiefs football, but that's what happens when you win a lot here. Listen, I know Belichick said something, and I was kind of surprised it came from him. Because I think he mentioned something about it was during the season. I can't remember if it was before or after the Super Bowl. I think it was after, because the topic came about the Chiefs' offensive line, and he mentioned, part of the reason why they have the struggles that they have is that they pick late in the draft every year. Well, Belichick picked late every year also. But the thing is, you're able to find great players outside of the first round. Look at the 2021 draft class. Great draft class by Kansas City. Finding, first of all, they didn't have a first-round draft pick, but they got Nick Bolton, they got Creed Humphrey, they got Trey Smith, guys who are some of the best at their position, some of them the best at their positions. And then you have guys like Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, guys who were picked up late in the first round of the draft. And then they got a lot of great players outside of the first round of that draft, Jalen Watts and Josh Williams for a little bit. You look at a guy like Brian Cook, who's been a serviceable safety for Kansas City. Isaiah Pacheco, I know he had that injury last year, but the first 2 years certainly did not look like a seventh round draft pick. So you have all of these players that the Chiefs have had in later rounds. You're able to find, just because the Chiefs are picking late in the draft doesn't mean that all the good players are gone. I think that's always the preconceived notion, is when you pick late. Listen, I still remember the time when, or the times I should say, when Kansas City had a top 5 pick 3 years in a row. Remember that? They got Glenn Dorsey one year. I remember that one. It was Tyson Jackson the next year, and then Eric Berry the year after. So Kansas City's been in that spot where they've had top 5, top 10 picks for so many years, and it didn't really work out back then. Now they're picking at least in the bottom 5 of the first round, provided they don't trade up, which we've seen in recent years the Chiefs have done. And they've been able to get good football players and continue to have high success in the NFL draft. I was mentioning the list of players the Chiefs have found outside of the first round. I know he had that injury last year, but his rookie year, especially with how much he grew during that year, and for parts of last year, Rashee Rice. I mean, that's a player that, if he can stay healthy, looks like he's going to be someone who should have been taken in the first round. So a lot of times you look at these NFL drafts here, and I know it. Everyone's going to have different opinions here. I'll give you one example. Luther Burden. And I know this is a big one because a lot of people are talking about him locally here. Luther Burden, I've seen his name go anywhere from the first round, early in the first round, all the way into the second round. I mean, he's got, he's projected to go anywhere. I've seen Kelvin Banks Jr. projected to go top 10, top 15, or could fall all the way to 31 to Kansas City. Just kind of looking at the PFF mock draft simulator here, and they do a really good job of updating this as rumors and whatnot go on. The players that are available by the time the Chiefs pick at 31, Walter Nolan, James Pierce Jr., the edge defender from Tennessee. Walter Nolan, of course, a lot of people have been talking about. from Ole Miss, and then also Matthew Golden at wide receiver. Josh Connerly Jr. is available also. A lot of mock drafts in the last 24 hours have been predicting the Chiefs to take Josh Connerly Jr. That is who I predicted the Chiefs would take before free agency got underway. But I don't know today, would the Chiefs make that move? Probably not as exciting. His value has kind of dropped a little bit. And I've seen some people say it kind of feels like they're forcing a pick if they go that route. If you play around with the mock draft simulator on PFF, and whoever is responsible for creating this, they did a fantastic job with this. You can do it over and over again. You'll get different outcomes each time. I'm doing it again. Walter Nolan, James Pierce Jr., Trey Amos, and Josh Connerly Jr. are the top 4. It seems like they've really updated it now where you don't get you can also change the settings, like randomness, care for positional value, draft needs, which I'm not going to mess with. I'll leave it the way it is. So I'm doing the mock draft simulator again. This time I get Luther Burden available at 31. Yeah, Luther Burden's a very interesting name, man. He really is. If he's available at 31, does Kansas City take him? I'm not sure. That one I get a little nervous about that one there. Not because I don't think Luther Burden would be a good player. Not at all. I think he'd be great for any NFL offense. But I think the thing is, if the Chiefs were to take him, great. You've got a lot of reliable receivers across the board. Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, an important part of your depth. Luther Burden also part of that mix as well. And you kind of start to wonder who would be the odd man out. I think Nico Remigio is a guy that's going to have a spot on the team unless the Chiefs were to draft another receiver in later rounds, like early in day 4, to maybe compete for the return job. Because at that point, maybe you could only keep one. Sky Moore could also be a guy who would be the odd man out. The wide receiver room definitely gets interesting if the Chiefs were to take Luther Burden. Now, here's another thing I want to ask here, because I know a lot of people are talking about offensive linemen and who the Chiefs might take. I'm just looking at their depth chart right now. Obviously unofficial because of where we are right now, but yeah, you signed Jalen Moore in the offseason. The Chiefs certainly have given a nice vote of confidence for Jalen Moore. Brett Veach said in his press conference, really the only knock on him is he didn't play much because he was a backup behind Trent Williams. But whenever he did fill in for Williams, you saw a lot of good from Jalen Moore. And then they mentioned Kingsley Suamataia. Veach didn't necessarily gloat about him or anything like that, but basically said, hey, we saw some good things from him in that Denver game when he played at left guard. And I know Andy Reid said he'll be competing for the left guard spot this year for the team. I assume Mike Caliendo is a candidate for that. I'd be curious to see if they would be willing to give Hunter Norzad a look at left guard, because I think that's a guy that's got really good pass blocking ability. And we saw that in that Week 18 game against Denver when a lot of the backups played. The only starters that really played in that game were the starting offensive line, but that was only for one series, which was a 3-and-out, and Brian Cook. Brian Cook played the entire game. I don't think you really saw any other starters. You maybe saw a couple on defense on the first drive, but that was it. I think Shamari Connor played a lot. He's a guy that not necessarily a starter, but someone who plays a lot on defense. That was really it. I mean, you got second and third stringers that played a majority of that game against a team that, you know, was fighting for a playoff spot. And I think Hunter Norzad, he certainly showed off some good things with his pass blocking ability there. So, here's my point is, again, we as fans and also people in the media, they look at teams and they say, what needs does each team have? Well, what we as fans in the media think are a need, maybe the Chiefs don't feel the same way. The rumor from Matt Miller of ESPN is that, and I know he's very well connected with the Chiefs, so I think there could be some truth to this, but the word from him is that in his report is that the Chiefs are trying to trade up for a left tackle. He reported this last week. I think the most important thing to me is like, okay, if you're the Chiefs, how confident are you in Jalen Moore to be your left tackle? Because, God damn it, that position needs to be figured out. It has to be. You've had Patrick Mahomes, the most talented, the best quarterback in the NFL since he's come into the league. But he's never had a viable offensive tackle since you let go of Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. Mitchell Schwartz was easily the best right tackle in the NFL when he was playing for Cleveland and for Kansas City. Eric Fisher, I mean, listen, we know the story with him. I know it's been revisited, the 2013 draft, how bad it was. Crazy enough, like the best players from that are Lane Johnson, who was, I think, picked 4th. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins, who almost fell out of the first round. And then Travis Kelce, who was taken in the 3rd round. But I'm just looking at the Chiefs right now. Their left tackle. I mean, they've tried so many different guys over the years. And as far as draft picks go, let's just focus on draft picks. You drafted Kingsley Suamataia, didn't work. You drafted Wanya Morris, didn't work. Someone's got to work at some point. I assume the more you bring in, the odds are someone's going to pan out and live up to expectations. I know with who's the guy from Ohio State, Josh Simmons. Yeah, the knock on him is that he's coming off that injury, and that's why he might fall to 31. But certainly has that versatility. So if you like Jalen Moore at left tackle, maybe this guy can play right tackle if Juwan Taylor continues to struggle or show more inconsistency there. What if Campbell, the linebacker from Bama, falls? Listen, he's a good player, but I'm just not sure. You're talking about Jihad Campbell. I don't think he falls to 31. No way. But if he does, is Kansas City really interested in a linebacker? Like, I'll say this. I know the Chiefs have 3 7th-round picks. 2 of them are compensatory picks. I don't think Kansas City is looking for a linebacker in this draft. I really don't. I did predict them to get Demetrius Knight Jr. That's because at one point I did not think that the Chiefs were going to bring back Nick Bolton, and they ended up bringing him back to my surprise. So you have Nick Bolton, you have Drew Tranquill, you have who's the guy that blocked that field goal against Denver? Oh boy, his Leo Chenal. You brought back Cole Christensen, I think, and Jack Cochran. Yeah, Cole Christensen, Jack Cochran. They also brought back Blake Lynch, who, again, was one of the very few bright spots in that Denver game in Week 18. Cam Jones, almost your entire linebacking corp is back. I don't know if the Chiefs have any serious interest in looking at a linebacker right now. The only way they would maybe add a linebacker would be in the 7th round. To provide some depth, but I feel like they have enough of that because I think they're okay. Like Bolton, Tranquill, and Chenal are your primary 3 linebackers. I think Jack Cochran, Cole Christensen, Cam Jones, those are guys that'll be used actively in rotation and on special teams. I think Blake Lynch is someone they really like and think that he could be someone that might be used actively in rotation. Now, I don't think all 7 of them are going to make the team, but I think those are the guys you're going to see from the most. So I feel like their linebacker room is already pretty crowded. I don't think they're looking to add any more. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns are in heavy discussions of trying to trade out of their number 2 pick. That would be very interesting. I mean, hold on. Who's the running back for Cleveland? Like, why would you not take Ashton Genty? Why? Who's their running back? Jerome Ford? They only have 2 running backs, according to our lads, and not counting their fullback. Dude, if you're Cleveland, you have to take Ashton Genty, maybe Travis Hunter. I don't know. I'm surprised Cleveland is entertaining, according to the rumors, that they're even entertaining the idea. Hey, listen, there are a lot of people in the media reporting this, so I think there's some truth to Cleveland wanting to trade out. It's weird because we have not seen anyone trade their first round draft pick. All 32 teams have a first round draft pick. So I don't know. I don't know what the first round is going to look like, man. Obviously, we'll see trades happen. It'd be insane if it didn't, but we will see on that. If the Chiefs do not go offensive line, I think the other position that makes the most sense would be defensive tackle. I'm seeing a lot of mock draft. Okay, I should say a lot, but some mock drafts, enough to at least get my attention here. I'm seeing some mock drafts predict that the Chiefs could get an edge rusher here. I know James Pierce has been a name connected to Kansas City. Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. I'm not saying these guys, and again, if I say I don't think the Chiefs will go after a player, I don't think it's because of their skill talent or anything like that. I just don't know if the Chiefs are in the market for an edge rusher in round one. I know they like George Karlaftis. They've got to make a decision within the next week about what they want to do with the fifth-year option for Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. And as far as opposite of Karlaftis, you got Charles Omenihu, who, obviously, he had the suspension his first year in Kansas City. Second year, he had the injury he was recovering from. He hasn't really had a chance to shine and play a full season for Kansas City. We saw what he did when he came back from that suspension. He got, 7 sacks in 11 games? That is pretty damn good for a guy that didn't play the first 6 games. I do agree with you, Brent. I think it's got to be either left tackle, defensive tackle. I'll even throw in left guard to that list there. I think it has to be one of those 3. Do the Chiefs need a wide receiver? I don't know if they need a wide receiver, but it's really damn hard to say no to Luther Burden if he falls to 31. It's really, really hard to say no to him. Let me ask you guys this. The Chiefs, they're picking 31st. We know. Let's just assume they don't trade today or even tomorrow. The Chiefs are picking 31. They're also picking 63, 66, and then 95. Those are Kansas City's picks for day 2. Do you think the Chiefs pick a running back with any of those picks? And if so, which pick? Because I think at 63, here's what I think will happen. I think 31, again, provided they don't trade. It's kind of hard to predict trades anyway, so let's just assume they don't trade. I think at 31, they're getting a left tackle or a left guard. If Gray Zabel is available, that would be a really good addition to the offensive line. If they get Kelvin Banks Jr., which I think you would have to trade up for, if Josh Simmons falls, I think they certainly would be inclined to want to get those guys. One of those guys. Whoever, if they get offensive tackle or offensive guard with the first round pick, I think they're going defense with the second round pick. Defensive tackle, to be clear. And as far as who you could get in round 2, maybe Darius Alexander, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott would be a really good player out of Tennessee. Tennessee has some really good players here, man. James Pierce Jr., Omar Norman Lott. I really like the running back they've got for out of Tennessee. Also, Dylan Sampson. And this is kind of where I'm going with next. I think with that high third round pick that you got from the Titans for the L'Jarius Sneed trade at 66, I think you have to take either Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal, or DJ Giddens. RJ Harvey would also be a really good option, although I think RJ Harvey will be available at 95. RJ Harvey's got really good speed. He's one of the faster running backs coming into this draft. But see, a lot of you guys are mentioning how stacked the running back class is. Yes. So Brett Veach did say that he thinks there are a lot of quality, and I'm paraphrasing, a lot of quality running backs that could be taken in the first 5 rounds. Does that mean the Chiefs wait until round 4? Because they don't have a 5th round pick. They have a 4th round pick and 3 7th round picks. So if you want a running back, I think you've got to do it with one of the 2 3rd round picks, which is 66 and 95, or you got to do it with your 4th round pick, which is 133. I think at 133, I don't really know if there's going to be a quality type of running back there. Like at that point, that person's just adding depth. If you don't draft a running back in round 3, don't even bother drafting one in this draft class, unless you want to get one in the 7th round that you're high on, like an Isaiah Pacheco. Because at that point, I feel like you'd just be better off moving on with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell. I think the Chiefs would really like to see what Carson Steele could do in another preseason, because he was the preseason hero last year for the Chiefs. What kind of a player will he look like in year 2? I'd be very curious to see for sure. But I feel like you got to get a running back at 66, because I don't think as much. I know a lot of people like Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatabo. I think those guys are gone by the time the Chiefs pick at 63. I do. I think Travion Henderson will be gone. I think he could be late 1st round, early 2nd round. I think the running backs that will be available by the time Kansas City is up to pick, it'll be either Dylan Sampson from Tennessee, Devin Neal from Kansas, or DJ Giddens from K-State. I think one of those 3 guys you've got to take if you're Kansas City. I would not be upset with either one of those. I mean, listen, as a Jayhawk, I'd love Devin Neal, but you can't go wrong with any of those 3 guys. If you really want RJ Harvey, I think he'll be available at 95. That's a little bit of a risk there. Because I think once you start to see more running backs come off the board, I think a lot of teams are going to want to get their hands on a running back. And Kansas City's got that big gap between 66 and 95. By the way, Matt Derrick just mentioned here, heads up, last year, the number 31 selection in the 1st round was announced at 10:47 p.m. The Chiefs traded up to select Xavier Worthy. That pick was officially announced at number 28. Yeah, Kansas City originally had the number 32 pick last year. Last year's good on Matt Derrick here. Good information here. It's going to be a long night. So if you are up and willing to chat it up, we will be live immediately following the selection made by Kansas City. And we'll also open the call, the call link for you guys. You guys can call in. All you have to do is click on the link, put in your name, turn on your audio, turn on your video, and we can chat it up. I know it'll be late. It's a school night. It's a work night, all these things. I get it. But if you're down to chat it up, I'd be happy to talk to you guys afterwards, almost like how we do our post-game shows. So tune in for that. Let me just see a few more comments here. Eric is saying Devin Neal would be great. Yeah. And I did not realize this. As a KU fan, I didn't realize this. He's the first Jayhawk ever to rush for 1,000 yards 3 years in a row. I mean, this is a program that once had Gale Sayers. This is a program that once had John Cornish, who's done some really good things in the CFL. So that was a surprise to me. I did not know that. Brent says, I want the tight end from LSU in the 3rd round. You're referring to Mason Taylor. What help me out here. Why do you want a tight end, Brent? Why? Because I feel like Kansas City, if there are 2 positions that I think the Chiefs will avoid before the 7th round, I think it's linebacker and tight end. I mean, listen, never say never on drafting a certain position here, because there's a lot that can happen in the draft. But I feel like in the 7th round, because the Chiefs have 3 of them, that's where they might use those picks for depth purposes there. So I won't say no, but I just don't know why do the Chiefs need a tight end? You got Travis Kelce coming back, and I think he will be better this year based on the fact you have Xavier Worthy coming back, Hollywood Brown coming back, hopefully staying healthy. Rashee Rice, I don't think his suspension, if he gets one this year, I don't think it's going to be as big and hefty as a lot of people really think. I've been saying that for a long time. I think the longer this goes on for, the less hefty the suspension it will be. Juju's part of the depth there. You know, he's going to be on the 53-man roster, provided he doesn't get hurt. I think Nico Remigio is going to get some looks on offense. And then, you know, Noah Gray. I mean, that guy certainly made that big step up last year and played very well. I know the Chiefs really like Jared Wiley. Unfortunately, he had that season-ending injury. And then at that point, it's like, okay, if you want to keep 4 tight ends, then you got competition between Baylor Cupp, Robert Tonyan, and Anthony Firkser. Maybe a tight end in the draft or one that you get undrafted if they impress you at rookie minicamp. I just don't feel like there's really any reason for the Chiefs to go after a tight end here. I feel like they've got Travis Kelce's replacement ready in the wings. I really do. And they signed him. They extended him to a deal right before the season opener. What was it? It was a 3-year extension. So I don't think the Chiefs are drafting anyone unless they feel like, and this would be a big if, unless they feel like Jared Wiley might be a player that might not be able to come back in 2025 and make the 53-man roster. I don't know. That'd be a really interesting one, but hopefully that's not the case. Carson Steele needs to play his natural position, fullback, and a lead block in the run game and for quarterback protection, Ogle says. Listen, I said this after the preseason, and I know in the preseason, it's like, listen, I try to tone my excitement down. It's hard because, you know, you miss football and you're seeing the pads pop and all these things. And you can only go off what happened in the preseason. You can also remember the fact that it is the preseason, but I think a lot of people were really excited with what Carson Steele did. And I remember at the time saying he showed flashes of Kimball Anders. He really did. I think a lot of the young Chiefs fans watching might not know or remember Kimball Anders. Basically, that guy was a running back / fullback. I think he led the Chiefs in rushing for a couple of years too, if I recall correct. I think Tony Richardson once led the Chiefs in rushing. Maybe I remember that incorrectly, but I swear I feel like it went that direction. But Kimball Anders was basically that fullback that was really one of Kansas City's reliable rushers because the Chiefs did not have a lot of options back then. It's rumored the Raiders are selecting Jamarcus Russell's clone. Okay, let me talk about the Raiders for just a second. I know you're being facetious there, Eric, but look, I like Geno Smith. I like his story. I remember really wanting Geno Smith in Kansas City in 2013. Remember that when the Chiefs had the number 1 pick? You're kidding yourself if you're a Raiders fan and you think Geno Smith is going to be the quarterback of the future. I mean, look, he's up there in age, okay? He's from the same draft class as DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce, guys who are kind of on that edge of, you know, flirting with retirement here. But let me just say this. I do think, as the draft is underway now, and I'm going to sign off here very, very soon, if you're the Raiders and Shedeur Sanders is available, you have to take him. If you do not take Shedeur Sanders, I would be really surprised. Like, and again, I know the Raiders have drafted a lot of didn't the Raiders have 5 first-round draft picks in the span of 2 years? And, you know, one of them was that wide receiver, I can't recall his name, who got in that car crash, killing an innocent person. Another one just got into so much trouble, they had to let him go. Like, they just had no luck whatsoever. How do you have 5 first-round draft picks in 2 years and they all basically become busts? How? They have to get a quarterback. Jody's asking, who do I think the Chiefs will pick? I'm going Henry Ruggs. Thank you. That's not who I think the Chiefs will pick. That's someone helping me refresh my memory. Who do I think the Chiefs will pick? I'm going to go Josh Simmons. That's my prediction there. Last question is from Rochelle. Do they need a corner? I do think they need a corner. I think they need a little bit of help there. certainly looked like you would have liked to have a luxurious need quality type of player at that position. Listen, I think Jalen Watson was fine. Obviously, he came back from that injury to help give that defense a little bit of a boost there. Unfortunately, I don't listen for people saying, "Oh, he got torched in the Super Bowl." Look, I don't think the defense played great in the Super Bowl, but didn't they do enough? Like they did enough. They held him to a field goal early in the game. They got the interception. It's like, what more could the defense have done? Patrick Mahomes threw a pick six, and then he threw another pick right after that, setting the Eagles up with great field position. It's like, a big reason. I'll say the 10 of those 24 points, I would say the defense is responsible for. Because didn't they miss a field goal also? Like Kansas City's offense had every chance to get back in it. I think if you're going to focus on defense in the early part of the draft, it's got to be the defensive line. Is Roger Goodell riding a bike? What the fuck is Roger Goodell doing? Like, what do you, dude, I am going to laugh if he falls. I'm sorry. I'm wishing he falls without any injuries, but please, it would be funny as hell. You can't tell me it would not be funny. But yeah, to answer the question about quarterback from Rochelle there, maybe with the 95th pick or the 113th pick, whatever that fourth round pick is. Yes, I do think the Chiefs do that, but not in the first 3 rounds, not in the first 2 days. Not in the first 2 days. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Enjoy the draft. It's going to be a long night if you're a Chiefs fan. Got to wait a very long time. But as soon as the Chiefs make their selection, whether they trade up, trade down, or they choose to draft someone, whatever the Chiefs end up doing, whatever decision is made, we will go live immediately following Kansas City's selection. So join me live after the selection. We will have the Chiefs Zone podcast live. Check it out. I'll have the link for you guys to call in. I'd love to hear from you guys. I know it'll be a late night. Got to keep it quiet, especially if you're on the East Coast Central Time Zone. But hey, I know some of you guys are out there on the West Coast. So tune in. We'll chat it up. We'll figure out how we feel about this draft pick for Kansas City, whoever it ends up being. And we'll have some fun afterwards. So join me afterwards. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Come back after Kansas City selection. Talk to you all then. Peace out.